Life's Other Side.
In this world, mighty gallery.
This is Life's Other Side, a program of traditionally American music. We've got your old-timey, your bluegrass, your hillbilly, your folk and protest, and your country music. Music that has been marginal, but good. I'm Mike. Join me for a while and listen to some good time music.
Picture of youth and of beauty, old age and the
A good Saturday afternoon to you. And I told you last week that we might have some people up here to make the show go better this week than it normally does. And I captured two of them. Roy Lanham is sitting here with us, and he brought down a man with him who lives up above him right now, Rome Johnson. They're with the Sons of the Pioneers, of course, and I want to welcome you two to the show here.
Thank you, Mike. Good to be back with you again, buddy.
Yeah, I'm glad you came back. See fit to come back. I mean, we're doing something right, I hope.
We been listening to you all. I didn't know you got up all the way to California.
What a good north wind.
Yeah.
We just scoot right along. I mean, over the pass and everything. Yeah,
Good to be back in Reno. Especially, it was cold weather when we were here before, and now it's hot weather.
Well, it didn't get too cold or hot here. I mean, this is temperate.
Yeah, well, it's temperate. I don't know what to hawk anymore. The weather changes so much, I tell you.
You got to be careful with it, don't you?
Yeah, I figured you'd enjoy meeting Rome Johnson here this day. Rome and I worked together back in the 40s, back Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
And we're both Kentuckians. In fact, in the group, we got 3 Kentuckians, ain't we, Rome?
Right.
3 of you all together from Kentucky?
Yeah, Dale. Dale Warren is from around Summersville.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And I'm from Corbin, and Rome is from Winchester.
Now, how far away is that? I mean, you didn't know him as a kid.
Oh, no. Winchester's up near Lexington, and Roy is from down on the Tennessee border.
Oh, way down on the border. Oh, I see.
I'm 30 miles from Tennessee.
Okay.
I'm almost a Tennessean.
But you don't claim it even that close.
Well, Tennessee claims me, and also Kentucky claims me.
Do they?
Yeah, Tennessee claims I'm from Kentucky, and Kentucky claims I'm from Tennessee. Yeah.
Don't want nothing to do with that.
Oh,
yeah, Rome, I want to ask you, what was it like? You met Roy some years ago working on WLW back there. What was it like? I mean, what was your first impression of working with this guy here? I mean, terribly serious man that he is.
It's hard to be honest about that, Mike. I says, there's a kid that plays pretty good guitar, but he was working with Hank Penny. You know Hank, don't you? He was working with Hank Penny at the time in an act there, and I was very impressed. He was playing a dead guitar. He wasn't using electric in those days. Roy would just cock his foot up on a chair in front of the microphone and just pick it away, and it sounded so great. I said, that boy knows what he's doing.
Well, so did Merle Travis was there. See, Merle was on and Chet Atkins, and we all would stand up in a chair and play right into the microphone, about 8 inches from the mic. And electrics didn't come out till later, did they?
Well, they wasn't using them much on radio, I'd say, in those days.
I think electrics came out about 1940, 39 or 40.
Okay, and you guys were still playing what you call dead.
Dead guitar, yeah. Acoustic guitar.
Acoustic, yeah. Yeah, I've never heard dead, for acoustic.
Oh,
that's
nice.
nice.
Well, my guitar playing has been dead for about 40 years.
Even if you hook it up.
If not, we'll kill it, anyway.
One of the reasons I asked you guys to come up here, and I'm glad you did, was to do some of the old songs. And we talking coming in here today about Bradley Kincaid's work and your uncle Asa Martin. Rome is you said doing personal appearances now?
Yeah, I saw him last May when I was back in Ohio, and he says him and John Lair and Bradley Kincaid, some of the boys are getting out and making some of these college shows and playing it for the people the way they used to do it,
That would be incredible.
And people like it, he says.
Yeah.
I know Bradley's about 87 years old now.
Yeah.
And Ace is about 78.
Yeah, Bradley's, of course, he's about as old. Well, when we worked with him, Bradley was in his 50s, middle 50s.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I hope somebody's taping those shows. I mean, those, John Lair, Asa Martin, Bradley. Those are masters of old-time folk music, mountain music.
I wonder, Asa used to record. He started recording, I believe, for Jeanette Records in Richmond, Indiana, in about 1927 or 8 or something like that. Then he went on to recording up in Richmond, Virginia.
Bristol,
when Jimmy Rogers and Gene Autry and different ones would be up there recording in those days. He used to tell me about it.
Is that right? He was recording in Bristol, Tennessee with all the...
No, this was Richmond, Indiana, where they were... Richmond, Virginia, where they were recording then.
I see.
I forget the name of the label. He recorded on several, Champion and Jeanette and Bluebird, I believe.
Oh,
You know, Bluebird was a forerunner of Decca.
right.
Yeah.
Right. One of those classic old labels.
Yeah, I know the Delmore Brothers worked. First records were on Bluebird.
And that's the group you played behind them, right? On the
Yeah,
boogie stuff.
on all the boogies,
Yeah.
Hillbilly Boogie, Steamboat Boogie, and Freight Train Boogie.
Yeah.
All those I play. Myself and Homer and Jethro.
Mm-hmm.
We were all on background.
Yeah. Did you ever work with the Delmores, Rome? At all?
Oh, I came to Cincinnati there. The boys were there. And Rayburn died during that time while I was there. And, yeah, we've done a lot of shows together. Elton and I became very close friends after that.
Yeah.
And I understand now Elton and Rayburn both are gone.
Yeah, they're both. Alton. I think Alton died in about 10 years ago, and Rayburn died in 1952, I
Yeah,
believe,
he died pretty
or 51.
quite some time ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys going to do a song for us? Now this is completely unrehearsed and spontaneous.
And it's going to sound that way
And
too.
it's
I
gonna sound
grant you.
that- not we didn't. I'm not going to believe that. So later.
Rome is the singer, and he plays the rhythm, and I play a little background. So
And fancy stuff.
I might throw in a fancy lick here and there.
Well, why don't you just pick and I'll second?
Okay, well I'll pick one. I'll tell you what we'll do.
What are you going to do?
We'll play a tune that the Delmore Brothers wrote. Alton wrote this. It's called Brown's Ferry Blues.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
One of my
Key G.
favorites.
Are you ready? Down in the jailhouse on my knees, trying to catch them dirty fleas. Lord, Lord, got them Brown's Ferry Blues. Don't believe me, try it yourself. I tried it and I got left. Lord, Lord, got them Brown's Ferry Blues. Hard luck, Papa, playing in snow, smell his feet wherever he goes. Lord, Lord, got them Brown's Ferry Blues. Don't believe me, try it yourself. I tried it and I got left. Lord, Lord, got them Brown's Ferry Blues. One more. There you have it.
Fantastic. Live and unrehearsed and looking good.
Oh,
That's
me.
nice. You had to throw in that funny verse about down in the jailhouse and fleas and stuff.
Well,
So I'm start giggling and stuff.
I tell you what, Alton wrote that for the Lonesome Jailhouse Blues, which was almost like Brown's Ferry Blues.
Mm-hmm.
So I just borrowed that verse and threw it in the other because I figured it needed it.
Oh man,
brother.
that's something. In the room, you've done a lot of recording. You know, haven't
Not
you?
a whole lot, a little.
Yeah, but you've had some big records that
well-
you know, I haven't heard copies of. You know, nobody brought any 78s for me this time.
Well, Hank Penny found me one here a couple of 3 weeks ago and brought over to me that I hadn't heard in 25 years. He found a copy of it, one that I made called Waltz of the Wind.
Waltz of the Wind,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's about the only one I had that really got off the ground.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're going to have to do that later on, or give it a shot.
We might give it a try at 12.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I appreciate that. And that's the only really big recording that you've done. Is that right?
Oh, well, I had a few for MGM. That was with MGM, and I had a few for them. Back at the time that I was recording, Hank Williams was recording, and we were both managed by Fred Rose. See, Fred put us both with MGM, and I guess Hank's records took off and was bouncing so high there that we just concentrated more on him than we did on me.
Well, did you ever know Hank Williams then?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
What'd you think of him?
Oh, I liked Hank. I think he's a very serious-minded boy and really, honestly, believed in what he was doing with his work, and his songs were very, very great, and I guess they'll go down in history as some of the best country songs ever written.
Sure, some of those old hurtin' songs.
Right, and I think he had a good reason to write a lot of them.
Yeah, there was reason behind all that.
I think
it
so.
just wasn't lyrics. Yeah.
I think he was serious with a lot of his songwriting. Uh-huh.
Yeah. I hear a lot of talk that Fred Rose wrote a lot of Hank Williams stuff.
Fred Rose, what you called Ghost, wrote a lot of Hank's stuff. In other words, that's what Fred told me, that Hank would come in with the songs and come in with the ideas, and sometimes, Hank wasn't a very educated guy, kind of like myself. He wasn't the world's smartest character, but
me.
But Hank knew what he wanted to say, and so he would write these songs out, and then Fred would just go over them, and you know what I mean. He'd go over them like a grading, you might say, and then he'd change this word or that,
I see.
and to give it the polish that the song needed. Is Hank's idea, and Fred would kind of dress it up.
And Fred would dress it up for you.
Yeah,
Okay, but keep the basic ideas.
Yeah, that was the way it really was.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's look at something else here for Hank Williams, Fred Rose, and all that. How did you get started in all this?
Well, there's a fellow that used to work with. You mean with this recording?
Yeah, with recording and music and all that.
Well, with the recording idea, a boy used to work with Roy Lanham there at the station by the name of Louis Ennis, and Fred Rose told Louis one time, Louis said, won't you make some records? I'll get you a deal with MGM, see? And Louis said, oh, I can't sing. Said, we got a boy up there that sings pretty good named Rome Johnson. Said, won't you get him on MGM, see? And Fred said, well, I never heard of the guy. And Louis said, well, I'll introduce him to you. So he introduced me to Fred, and Fred said, yeah, well, do you want to go with MGM? And I said, sure, I do. So that's the way I got with him, was through Louis Ennis.
I see.
And Louis is in the publishing business now in Nashville, isn't he?
Yeah, we saw Louis. We were in Niceville about 4 weeks ago, about a month
that's
ago.
Right. Yeah.
And we did 3 hee-haw shows there. And we were at the motel. So Louis came over to see Rom and I. And we hadn't seen him, in 20 years, I guess.
Been a long time. Louis wrote the song Good Night Cincinnati and Good Morning Tennessee, and that Foley recorded, didn't he?
He wrote that, and he is also a publisher. He had a publishing company of Big Bad John that Jimmy Dean
Oh, really?
did. Louis was a publisher on that,
Oh, I see.
So he came over, and we spent about an hour with him having coffee there at the motel.
Yeah, talking serious all the whole time, I suspect.
No, there wasn't. Not one serious word was spoken.
You cannot talk serious to Louis Ennis.
Oh, is that right?
No way.
Louis is as nervous as a cat in a room full of rocking chairs. He just, he smokes a cigarette and drinks coffee and kind of like a nervous Don Knotts,
Yeah. Well, before you started recording, you came off, what was that little town up around Lexington?
Oh, Winchester.
Winchester, Kentucky.
And like I say, my uncle A.C. Martin started recording in the late 20s. And then I was born half-raised on a farm down there, and we didn't have it too good. So finally we starved ourselves plumb into town. And my Uncle A.C. still hung on to his farm down there, but he would go do some broadcasting. He had a little program on a station there in Lexington called WLAP. So every Saturday he'd go in and do a half-hour show with a group called Pappy Matt Adams and his Kentucky String Ticklers.
Oh, my God.
So I would go out and I'd live with Ace on the farm there, and work around there to kind of help pay my keep, cut the wood and do a little chopping in the fields and so forth like that. So Ace said, well, come and go down with me to radio station on the Saturday. So I go down there, and I'd learned a few chords from him by watching him play. The guy was a pretty good guitar player for his time. And so him and Shorty Hobbs and old Pappy Matt Adams and a guy named Otis Maddox, who later named himself Don Weston and come to the West Coast, and Jerry Wallace, the banjo player with the Diplomats, was on this show. So, and Shorty Hobbs. So they offered to let me sing a song. So this is 1932. I remember the very first song I ever sung on the air was In the Blue Hills of Virginia. You remember that old tune?
Oh, yeah.
That's the first song I ever sung. That was on WLAP radio in 1932.
Why don't you do it now and we'll see if you've improved any.
I haven't heard it since then.
Can you give us a chorus?
Shucks, yeah, I can sing it. I bet you.
Yeah, let's go.
Now, it's been a long time since I wrote this. Roy, if I hit a bad chord, you square me up one.
I'll get you a hand.
Let's see. In the blue hills of Virginia, where the tall pines kiss the sky, how my heart thrills in Virginia when the love shines in your eye. In the evening you're a picture so fair, mellow moonbeams kissing your hair. In the blue hills of Virginia, I hope to win you, sweetheart mine.
nature so fair, mellow moonbeams kissing your hair in the blue hills of Virginia. I hope to win you, sweetheart mine.
All right, that's the first song you did.
That's the first one.
That sounds good. You must have improved.
I'm surprised that I remember it, Roy, too.
I had forgotten it. I'd heard it years ago. There's one like that Gene Austin wrote. I got the Blue Ridge Mountain Blues.
Yeah.
Remember? Do you sing that?
I don't believe I can get through it.
I worked with Gene many years and never knew he wrote that until he was mentioning a bunch of them he had written, and he mentioned that one, and I didn't know he had written
Blues.
it. Yeah, that's a real old one.
Sure, that's a classical song. That's what that is
nowadays. Yeah.
Sure.
I don't know that one. But it's something that I know.
Pick at number 2.
Let's play. Let's play a little boogie. You know, the blues are 3-chord 12-bar blues are never dated as far as time. Woody Herman could do the blues, or Count Basie, or else Uncle Dave Macon could do the blues on banjo. But it's all came out of the South, you know. So let's start off kind of ad lib as we go. We'll play a little blues in the key of E, and we might change tempos, and who knows what'll happen.
Improvisational blues.
Here goes. Key of E.
The blues, and that's good. That's very good, gentlemen. You guys work well together. You guys sit around and pick a lot and mess around a lot together?
Well, no, we usually meet at Rome's house. He'll have a party or something, and he'll come over to my house, and we'll sit down and have a few big tall glasses of Pepsi Cola or something other like that.
I figured that's what it is.
You know, if Roy Lanham comes to your house to visit you, if 15 or 20 minutes goes by that you don't ask him to play his guitar, he feels insulted.
Well, we usually hang around with guys, you know, all of our old friends, and most of them are musicians, and we'll get together. If you don't start playing in the first half hour, you probably won't. I know one time I had a birthday party over, I think you was there, Rome, at my house.
You still got birthday parties?
Well, about every 2 or 3 years now. But we had Billy Liebert, who's with us now, and at the same time he was at CBS, and Dusty Rhodes, and I think Jack Rogers, and 7 or 8 fine musicians. And everybody had their instruments, and we kept sitting around talking, and the whole evening went by and we didn't pick up an instrument. We just was
And
talking.
he's never got over it.
No, I just thought, well, how great it's been. Just turned us loose and turned on the tape recorder, you know.
That was a sign of a bad party. Is that it, Rome?
That's
Whatever.
the idea of a bad party.
I was ashamed. I was ashamed to say, well, fellas, go bring your instruments in. And I was too lazy to go get them for them. So we just went the whole night, I think, listening to other tape and things, jazz.
Drinking Pepsi-Cola.
Drinking that Pepsi. And my nerves got real steady. In fact, I got so steady I couldn't move. You remember that?
Yeah. That's the only time this ever happened, though, isn't it? I mean,
About the only time.
Yeah.
That's about the only time that happened, actually. Usually, as a rule, first thing you do is get out your axe and start picking, you know, as a rule.
Yeah.
I've been lucky to be in some good jam sessions with some fine musicians. Chet Atkins, Homer Jethro, guys of that caliber.
Yeah, well, who all... go ahead, Rome. You were going to say something there.
Oh, I was going to say that while we were in Nashville here, about must have been a month and a half.
About a month or so.
Something like that. We done a couple of Grand Ole Opry shows there while we were doing these hee-haw things, and so some of the old timers that has been in the business for years, like Bill Carlisle and talking with Bill, and one of the original Crook brothers was there.
Is that right?
They're still working.
Yeah.
The opera
they're still working the opera?
Still working. Still working.
Fantastic.
And some old timers like that just really is great to get to see these guys. See them still going.
And playing better than ever, probably.
Oh, yeah.
I know Bill Carlisle now. When I first went on radio back in 1939, and I started in Knoxville on WNOX, and Bill Carlisle was there with his brother Cliff, and Cliff's boy, Sonny Boy Tommy, and Shannon Grayson on the mandolin. But I run into Bill about every 7 or 8 years now. It's been about 7 or 8 years since I'd seen Bill Carlisle.
Yeah.
He used to do the character Hotshot Elmer.
Hotshot Elmer.
Now, foot forward, buddy. What in the world you doing there? I'm going to whoop you. that type of voice. As one day, old Archie Camel was playing. He played Grandpappy, Archie Camel did. With a gray goatee and a gray wig. He was only about 24 years old. But people thought he was about, when he made up for the show dates, they'd think he was about 75. And he'd pull jokes. So one day, Laurel Blanchard was the MC on the midday merry-go-round. And one day they had a wrestling contest between Grandpappy and Hotshot Elmer, who was Bill Carlisle. And Bill would wear a pair of big baggy breeches and no shirt and suspenders and a tie around his neck and all these freckles painted on him and 2 teeth blacked out. An old country boy. In fact, that's how I looked when I first went to Knoxville. and
overalls.
Yeah. So old Laurel Blanchard said that. Said, Hotshot, you don't want to fight that poor old Grandpappy. He said, he's 75 years old. Hotshot said, foot far, I could whoop him if he's 200. That's actually, I told that to Bill last time I saw him. He'd remembered it.
Yeah, what's it like when you guys go back to, and see all these people in Nashville that you haven't worked with in 25, 30 years?
Well, I like the people I was thinking about. Oh, it's good to see old friends like that and fellas that you have worked with. But I was thinking of guys like, I never did work with Bill Carlisle or with the Crook brothers, but when I was young, I used to listen to them and on the radio. The Grand Ole Opry, if you lived within a few hundred miles from there, that's all you could hear on Saturday night.
That was it.
I've lived up the street half a dozen blocks or so from downtown there in Mount Sterling, Kentucky, a little town that I spent most of my teenage years in. You could leave, say Saturday night, you wash your face and shine your shoes and put on your best pair of overalls and just go downtown to be among them for a while, just to stroll around and maybe shoot a couple of games of pool if you can bum a dime off of somebody. And you start out and leave the house, walking downtown, and every house you'd go by would have the Grand Ole Opry on. You wouldn't miss a note all the way down to when you got to the main part of town. Just walking down the street, you don't miss a lick of it, That's in the early 30s.
Yeah.
And so those people are the ones that I really got a kick out of running into down there at the Grand Ole Opry and seeing and saying a few words to.
That's incredible.
I used to listen to the Delmore brothers back in the 30s when they were on. They went to the Opry in 1932, Alton and Rabin. And, of course, D. Ford Bailey was there, the harmonica player.
Harmonica player,
Uncle Dave.
Uncle Dave Macon, and, of course, the Crook, Skillet Lickers, Crook brothers. We saw
Yeah.
we saw Sam and Kirk McGee. You remember
their
band?
Sure.
Well, Sam McGee played the flat top Martin, like we are using here, one of them. And we were there with the Pioneers about 3 years ago and did an opera show. And I met Sam McGee, and I think he was 82 then.
Yeah.
And we played a veterans hospital. And we did our show, and then they introduced Sam. He came out and sat down and played Under the Double Eagle on the flat top. And just tore these guys up. And they made a big picture, and I have that at home now with Sam sitting down and us guys backing him up, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I understand he passed away here about
Not very long ago, about a year ago. Yeah.
About a year ago.
Yeah, he was working his farm, as I understand it, down there, and
fell off of a tractor.
Fell off the tractor, yeah.
Shame.
And,
That same thing happened to of Oscar. What's his name? Alonzo and Oscar. That happened to
oh, come on.
Oscar, the guitar player.
Yeah. With Charlie Monroe, same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Same happened to him. Well, hey, you guys gonna do another song for us? Ron, could you do Waltz of the Wind?
Oh,
I'd like to hear that. I've heard good stuff about that song from you.
You tell why this is a hit. I still like to hear him sing it.
Yeah.
Well, I hope I can get through it. This one song that I never do any place, but we'll give it a try. You ready, Colonel?
I'm ready, Colonel.
You were there in my arms, alone in the moonlight. The trees played the waltz of the wind. It was there that I knew I'd loved you forever. We danced to the waltz of the wind. The stars up above you looked down in your eyes and told me the night would never end. Now I'm dreaming of you till we meet tomorrow and dance to the waltz of the wind. The stars up above you looked down in your eyes and told me that... A lot of people give me credit for writing it. They shouldn't do that because Fred did.
Yeah, that's a very pretty job of that. I really like that.
Roy Acuff recorded that also back in those days, didn't he?
Yeah, Clyde Moody.
Clyde Moody's done a version.
And the DeCastro sisters and Hank Williams eventually recorded it, and most everybody got
That's
it.
right. Good song.
I'll tell you another tune that Fred Rose wrote back when he was on Ten Pin Alley, writing for pop songs. A thing called Deed I Do. Could we play that?
Yeah, you want to get a try?
Little thing.
What do you think, Mike?
Sure, let's
hear it?
do it. I want to
Yeah.
hear everything, man. Yes, sir.
That's kind of
good.
jazzy, ain't it?
That's kind of good.
Oh, that boy is a fine guitar picker.
Isn't he?
I got to apologize. I got my fingernails are a little long, and I got them hung up in the strings there, and it made it sound real good there for a few minutes. You know?
12 string.
Yeah, it did.
I've got to remind folks, too, that since we're getting you guys warmed up for your show tonight, John Esquagas Nugget, the Cabaret, 8, 10,
and 12.
That's right, 8, 10, and 12 every night except Monday.
Monday's off.
Right. Okay, and you're here through when?
We close the 24th.
The 24th.
Yeah, another week and a half. Week from this coming Wednesday.
Okay.
Now get your checkbook out, Roy, and pay for that commercial.
He didn't say it was the Sons of the Pioneers. He didn't say Sons of the Pioneers, so therefore you don't owe him. Right?
Now I'll say Yeah, but that's Sons of the Pioneers. 3 shows a night, 6 nights a week.
6 nights a week.
Right. Every night except Monday. And that's, if you haven't been out there yet, you're missing a fine, fine show.
Thank you, Mike, and we're having nice crowds and a real good time.
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah, you guys are really doing a job out there. Except for this guy that stands over to the side there and plays funny guitar and stuff, talks funny.
Well, now I kind of come in there when it gets a little lull in the place, then I throw in a little something that makes it a little bit more luller.
Yeah. a little more
luller when I get done. Yeah.
Wait, have you learned any new stories out of that book you showed me the other day?
Oh no,
2,000 more stories or something?
No, I didn't learn much. There's not much I can use out of there. I was reminded of one though, talking about Saturday night dances and things down in Kentucky. Down in Corbin, where I'm at there. I went to a place one Sunday morning, one of the old boy Barty Lockabay's house.
Who's that?
Barty Lockabay.
Barty Lockabay.
He's my friend, him.
Your buddy.
Bynum Googe and guys like that. Old Caleb Jerry Guthmiller, he's there.
They all sitting down in the front room, were they?
And Ruby LaFoon, he's there. All the old boys. And we was talking, I said, what's all these scales laying around here on the linoleum? I said, what went on here last night? Did you have a fish fry? Old Barty said, Lord, no. Said, that's toenails. We had a square dance.
A big one, too, right?
Yeah, big square dance, man. Oh, no, these, I didn't get much out of these this joke book stories. Most of the things that are funny happened to me myself when I was growing up.
It happened to you, true stories?
True stories, because it's hard to...
I always suspected that, really.
Yeah, these things happen. I don't know why. They usually do.
You're lucky you made it as far as you did. You know that, Roy?
I know it.
You just felt lucky.
It's a funny thing. I know there's an old woman down in Corbin called Miss Posey. She was about 95 years old when I left home.
Uh-huh.
And lived way back out in the country, about 5 miles from where I lived.
Uh-huh.
It's where the road would end.
Yeah, pretty hard to get to her place then.
Well, once you got there, you couldn't get back. She was so far back in the sticks that her breath smelled like stove wood. I know. They had, pump in the sunshine. But I went back to see her after I'd been gone about a year or two, and my mother went out with me, and my sister, and my wife was named Pearlie. And so we went out there. I said, I got to go see Miss Posey. So we drove out there, and the pavement literally ends. Well, it's dirt roads and everything. Mm-hmm. You drive up, there's a coal pile in the yard. There's a well where you draw water with a rope, mm-hmm. and their house is papered with newspaper. And you step on the front porch and a plank would fly up like Al Cap would write in Little Albury. Yeah. So we drove up, and Mommy said, "Howdy, Miss Posey." Miss Posey dipped snuff, and she spit and said, "Is that you, Pearlie?" She said, "Yeah." Said I got my son Roy with me here. Said he wanted to come out and see you. He hadn't seen you in a long time. And she spit. Said, "Roy," said, "ain't he the one that went off in music?" Because she heard I'd left and went on the radio, Because she never heard me on the radio because she didn't have a radio back down through there, that part of the country. But she's quite a gal. Her boys were all musicians, played harmonicas and banjos and fiddles, which I had played square dances with before I had ever left home.
Was it? Yeah. But they never...
They never did much. They all got married and stayed and farmed the old farm. Never got out. They were the lucky ones, really,
Yeah.
I guess.
Look at this.
Rome, say something or play a tune.
Yeah, listen.
I'll tell you what I'd like to do. Mike, I wrote a song I'd like to sing.
Sure.
Is that all right?
Yeah, let's hear it. I want to hear it.
I wrote this song about back home and about 24 hours in the life of a kid from down in my part of the country.
Okay, let's hear this.
You might like this.
Little boy with dinner pail, spotted dog with waggy tail, walking down the dusty trail. Many years ago, down the road at country school, arithmetic and golden rule, marble games and April Fool, many years ago. Bring some water from the well before the close of day. Yeah, forget it. Oh, let's start all again. Let's see. Cut some firewood, get the cows before the close of day. Bring some water from the well, then you can run and play. Fireside, a rocking chair, all the family gathered there. Flickering light, a bedtime prayer, many years ago. Pull the covers overhead to keep all harm away. When you hear the roosters crow, another bright new day. Little boy, how time has flown. Into manhood you have grown. Now it seems just like a dream. Many years ago.
That's a very pretty song, Rome.
Oh,
that's
thanks.
a very pretty song.
That's a dandy.
Yeah. And it's especially good because I just got back this morning from back home. You know,
Oh,
telling
yeah.
you when we came in, black-eyed peas and
Oh,
cornbread
yeah.
and black-eyed gravy and all that good stuff.
Hog head chitlin.
Oh man, the great thing about back home now is they don't have any more cows.
You don't have to do the milking.
Don't have to milk cows anymore. It's so good. I mean, you don't have
Man,
to worry
we-
about any of that stuff.
Down Corbin, now we had a cow actually out there. We did that gave 40 gallon of milk a day.
40?
Yeah, now she was just a young Jersey, but gave usually cows don't give that much milk.
Yeah, that's incredible.
40 gallon a day. Somebody said, "Well, how in the world did you milk her?" I said, "Well, we didn't milk her. We unscrewed her tail and dipped it out with a gourd." Yeah, that's true. That's fact.
Oh, I'll tell you the honest truth is when I was a kid, which that's been a long time ago. We carried our water and we cut our wood. We didn't live down in the section where they had the coal like Roy did.
Mm-hmm.
We had to cut every stick of wood that we burned in our kitchen stove and in our fireplace, summer and winter. And we had kerosene lights and lamps we had to carry around from the kitchen to the living room. And that's just the way it was. We didn't own an automobile. Our transportation was the wagon or the buggy.
Mm-hmm.
And makes me sound pretty old, but really that's just how things were in my part of the country.
Yeah.
We had a little old Jersey cow, like you say, that we'd have to put a yoke on her. You know, you cut a doggone hickory fork,
Yeah.
and tie it around her neck to keep this doggone thing out of the garden.
Jump
But
in the
there's
fence,
no way in the world you can keep that little old Jersey cow out of that garden. You wake up in the morning, there she is out there just helping herself, man. No way you could get her.
The yoke was on you, wasn't it?
Right.
Yeah, you got in trouble when she got in the garden, right?
Oh, man.
Yeah. Would you use baling wire or wire to put it across the top
Yeah,
of the
you
yoke?
hang this thing around their neck, and then you wire it or chain it or something around the top, you know, and you think, well, that thing ain't practically dragging the ground in front of them, that
sure.
they can't hit it. You can't get over a fence with that thing, but this little old cow could do it. We had about 7 or 8 cows there, but this little fella could do it. Little lady.
Little lady. Well, I was raised that way too. We had coal, and I had cut kindling, take in the coal, and we had a grate for the fireplace, and linoleum on the floors, and no electric, and the outside toilet. We had
You had a what?
An outside restroom.
I think we had one too. I never would go around it.
Well, but finally, I tell you, it's funny though. When I went on the radio, I got so proud of myself. Made a few bucks. That I carpeted. I carpeted our bathroom, and it looked so good. I just run on into the house. Oh,
like the old boy says, I know down there where we lived, we didn't have too much money, but to go to town do much shopping. But we did get that old Sears and Roebuck catalog, so we'd sit there and look at that thing, go through it. We called it our wish book, Say, I wish I had this and I wish I had that. Just sit for hours and go through this thing.
Did you ever get anything out of it?
Well, sometimes get along about the latter part of November, the 1st of December. If we find something in there that you could like and could really afford, we'd just tear out the page and take it to the house and order it.
Usually long about fall of the year, you get over to the harness section.
That's good.
That was the wish book one, Sears and Roebuck.
Yeah. Well, do you write a lot of songs, Rome? Do you do a lot of writing?
Oh, I write funny stuff mostly. Just try to write little takeoffs on the good songs. I try to see if I can allow some up, and we use one of them once in a great while, but most of them you can't do on the air.
I was going to say maybe we could hear one.
I'll tell you one he can do on the air.
What's
is Happiness, Contentment.
Oh, yeah.
A tune he wrote for Eddie Arnold.
Oh.
Which is perfect Eddie Arnold tune.
Well, yeah, okay. I wrote this for my wife, because here the last few years ago I found a good one. You'd say that's almost impossible. Well, it ain't. Just keep looking. Yeah, I wrote this song for her because she deserves every little bit of it. It goes, happiness, contentment, and peace of mind. Elusive things so many seek, but only few can find. The Lord above, a woman's love can help them fall in line. Happiness, contentment, and peace of mind. You won't find it in a bottle of the bubbling wine. It may seem the grass is greener farther down the line. In your search for wealth or fame, may you also find happiness, contentment, and peace of mind. What do you want, Roy? Happiness is joy and bliss when it's at its peak. Contentment, friend, comes from within, the mighty are the meek. Then if you have one who's true to love you all the time, you've got happiness, contentment, and peace of mind. Happiness, contentment, and peace of mind. Elusive things so many seek, but only few can find. The Lord above, a woman's love can help them fall in line. Happiness, contentment, and peace of mind.
Hey, that's a very good
That's
song.
good too?
That's a good one.
Thank you.
You're a good songwriter.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, how do you go about doing this? Sitting down and writing things.
Oh, I just got to thinking how lucky I was to get this little old gal, and I said, I got to write and tell somebody about it, so I wrote that song.
Good song. Good song.
Boy, my wife has got everything a man would ever want, really. Muscles and hair on her chest. And everything. Yeah. I'm just kidding, honey.
Oh, Lord. We're all in trouble now.
Roy and I don't make much money, but we sure have a lot of fun.
Just to have a good time.
Yes, we do. We really do. Yeah.
That's about half the battle, isn't it? Just having a good time.
It is actually. They say I've traveled a whole lot, all over the world practically, and the old saying that a man will spend half of his life trying to get away from home, and the other half trying to get back.
Trying to get back.
So that's about the truth.
That's about the size of it, yeah.
I used to want to get out, get to New York, which I did, when I was about 17. And played all the big places there, and wanted this bright lights and all that stuff. And now I'm content to go where there's a little peaceful river or stream and some shady trees and some grass and lay down a while and rest.
See, Roy wanted to go to New York so bad. He got up there and they mugged him, and he hasn't thought too much of the place since.
They sure did. They mugged me and took all my change and even took my guitar picks.
Oh, no.
And whoever mugged me in 1940 on 4th Street in New York, please bring back my guitar picks.
That's what made him mad. Not losing the change was losing the guitar.
Yeah, they took I had about, I guess, $12, which was a lot of money.
That's
then.
big money. Sure.
And,
that was a week's wages for
it. It
you.
was, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, old Archie Campbell paid me $2 a day when I started with him. You know, now I told him if I ever worked for him again, he'd at least have to double it.
Yeah, Rome, how did you go back from Cincinnati there? I'm trying to be serious.
Oh, I won't say that.
You got to keep talking. Yeah, how'd you get from Ohio back down to Southern California? A lot of folks go to wind up down there.
Well,
What got you down there?
I had worked around with a friend of mine that had eventually got me into a Ford Motor Company band in Detroit, working for old man Henry Ford
Is
himself,
that right?
and for Henry II, Edsel's boy, the old man's grandson, Henry II, and Benson, and we worked for the Ford family, entertaining. The old man Henry Ford, was a country music lover.
That's right.
And he had several groups working there at the company. He knew they were on the payroll, and we'd entertain places where he would be, and he didn't like wind instruments. If anybody brought a clarinet or a saxophone in there, he just said that's no good. Get it out. That's not music. He went strictly for the old time stuff. Well, this fellow that got me into that group worked there with him a while, and then I worked in Cincinnati there with Roy, and this guy left the company and went to Dallas, and he called me and had me come down there and work with him in Dallas a while, and I went back to Cincinnati. Then he came to California, and he got after me to come to California to work out there with him. So I went out there, and I'd been to California before and spent some time there, but I went out this time, just decided to stay, and I worked music, and I worked rock, sand, and gravel for 10 years, and just about anything I could find to do, and then music part of the time and other things. So I just liked it, and I wanted to stay there, and I still don't want to leave Southern California.
Do you want to go back east?
No, I don't want to go nowhere. I'm happy right there in my little old San Fernando Valley.
Oh, right, that's good.
Rome was something might be interesting, Mike, to you. Rome was telling me about it. While he worked for the Ford Motor Company as the band, they'd play their private parties and things, and they was playing one night, and Henry Ford himself, Jr., came over a second, and asked them what they wanted to drink. So the four guys ordered like a different drink, and he brought it to them, and so he came back like a half hour later, and asked
He
them,
says anything you guys want, just tell the butler, and he'll take care of you, which the butler did.
The butler?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he says that Henry remembered what each guy was drinking.
An hour later, he come back, and I said, I changed my drink, and he said, what are you guys drinking? I said this. He said, oh, you're changing your drinks on me, huh?
Wow.
Now, imagine a guy that has as much to think about as this guy did can remember small things like that.
Really, that's incredible.
That's what makes a great man, I guess.
Yeah. That Ford Motor Company bands that you were working on, Henry liked to put on dances and hold concerts for his people, didn't he?
Well, we entertained not only the Ford family, but all of the officials of the company that would, anything they would have to do that they wanted us, we were on a salary. I went as high as a month without playing a note for the Ford Motor Company or anyone like that. You get your pay just the same. However, then they would send us out, like you might say, as goodwill people. We've played so many Catholic churches and father and son benefits and lodges, Masonic lodges, and elks and eagles. That someone would call into the company and say, we're having a gathering of people here, Have you got entertainment? The Ford Motor Company would send us out absolutely free and pay our expenses. And all they had to do, the only thing that would be mentioned in favor of the company is a guy would get up and say, through the courtesy of the Ford Motor Company, we have this entertainment. And that's the only plug they'd ever get out of it, you know, just goodwill.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And what did you do, old country songs?
Oh, we do mostly Western music and country. There's different groups. Now, they had novelty groups and country groups and Western groups, and I worked in a Western group.
Oh, I see. They had more than one of these bands then?
All kinds. They had the symphony orchestra, and they had just, I'd say hundreds of people that was on the payroll as entertainment. That's all they did was just a gift to the public by the company.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yes.
And you were, how long did you work with those folks?
I worked with them about 4 years, and then I quit like a dummy and quit and walked out. And it was a very good job and beautiful people to work for.
Yeah.
Well, you'd been a sort of an old model to be still there at the Ford Company now, Johnson. You know what? Speaking of the old models, Rome sings all those old songs that I know your listeners are used to hearing.
Yeah.
Do you know "Put My Little Shoes Away"?
No.
Or "The Eastbound Train Was Crowded"?
Now you're getting way back. I can do an old Bradley Kincaid tune.
Well, do that.
Sure.
Yeah,
People like it.
That'd be good.
Are you ready for this?
We're ready.
When the curtains of night are pinned back by a star, and the beautiful moon leaps the sky, and the dewdrops from heaven are kissing the rose, it is then, love, my memory flies, as if on the wings of some beautiful dove, in haste with the message it bears, to bring you a kiss of affection and say, I'll remember you, love, in my prayers. I've loved you too fondly to ever forget the love you have spoken to me, and the kiss of affection still warm on my lips, since you told me how true you would be. Go where you may, on land or on sea, I'll share all your sorrows and cares. And at night when I kneel by my bedside to pray, I'll remember you, love, in my prayers. If the heavenly angels are guarding the good, as God has ordained them to do, in answer to prayers I have offered to Him, I know there is one watching you. So go where you may, on land or on sea, I'll share all your sorrows and cares. And at night when I kneel by my bedside to pray, I'll remember you, love, in my prayers.
This is WLS Chicago. That's a very good job. That's very nice.
I haven't sung that song in 30 years, I know.
Really?
Is that right?
That's good. I like that old song.
Good, my old folk song there.
That's a good
job.
job.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you guys got to take off here in a few minutes, and Mary Ann's coming at 5 to pick you up.
Yeah.
And you guys got to do a traditional kind of old show here, and what if you do a little gospel number for us? Close out your part of the show.
Let's see. I used to be with Browns Ferry 4 there on WLW. Let's see something. How about I'll Fly Away? Remember that?
I remember that one.
Let's see. Well, let's see.
How about that picture from Life's Other Side?
Pictures. That's his theme song.
Sure. Throw in a theme.
Well, do that one then. You remember it?
You remember it, don't you?
I can sing a part of it.
I do. Well, I want to know just part of it.
Okay, we'll
too.
try it.
Let's see. What's
Two parts and get it all together.
Let's see. What key there?
Do it about F.
Are you ready for
I'm
this?
ready, I believe.
Now, this is rehearsal, folks.
All right.
It's a picture from life's other side. Somebody has fell by the way. A light has gone out with the tide that might have been happy someday. Some poor old mother at home, waiting and watching alone, waiting to hear from her loved one so dear. It's a picture from life's other side.
You know a verse on it?
No, I don't. Do you?
No. Let's do that
Let's
over.
Let's do it again.
All right.
It's a picture from life's other side. Somebody has fell by the way. A light has gone out with the tide that might have been happy someday. Some poor old mother at home